You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
There's a lot of excitement around AI and automation, but how do you actually put it to work without losing that human touch that's really vitally important in today's dealerships? So on today's show, Glenn Pasch, the CEO of PCG Digital and an auto marketing expert himself, is here to discuss how to better leverage it in marketing today. And I'm talking about AI, that is. So thanks so much for joining us once again, Glenn, for all that you bring to the table. I know a lot of people rely on what you have to say and your advice. So thanks so much for taking the time out of your schedule to join us on the show.
No, I appreciate you having me on.
Sure. So where do you think dealers should start when integrating AI into their marketing or into their sales workflows? Because this is something that I think a lot of dealers are challenged with, right?
Yeah, I think there's two things that dealers really have to understand. First is, what are they trying to accomplish with AI?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go, this past NADA, everybody was AI. Every tool had AI, or I'm the newest AI.
Yes.
And everybody was overwhelming them. So
That's
I think
right.
the first thing would be to step back and say, why do I want AI? Where do I want to use it? Because you could use it in so many departments in a dealership. We tend to lean on sales, but you could use it in payroll, you could use it in your parts, you could use it in your service. So I think you have to first start and say, why do I want it? And then more importantly, how is it going to integrate in my process versus just throwing something on, adding something on, instead of tactically knowing where am I going to use this technology to be more efficient.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. From your perspective, where shouldn't AI take over?
Wow, shouldn't take over. I think it shouldn't ever take over at the expense of humans. Meaning, I hear sometimes, and you read, I was reading something this morning in automotive news, one of the manufacturers like, oh, we're going to get rid of our BDC and everything's going to be automated. And I think that helps to a point, but I think you have to still have a jump off where someone wants to talk to a human. We've all been frustrated with large companies who have just AI, and they won't let you get to a human. They basically tell you, we are not going to let you get to a human. Our AI will answer any question. And that's frustrating because we still want to talk to someone. So I think replacing everything, or even marketing, just absolutely automating everything, I think we're not there yet. And I don't think dealers know their products and what they're trying to accomplish well enough to really just turn the reins all over to AI.
Yeah. It's kind of like giving a gun to a baby. If it's if it's used and somebody's not trained on this, it can also hurt the business, right? I mean, this isn't the end all be all cure all for everything in the dealership. I mean, you just touched on the fact that it could frustrate consumers that are calling in or trying to get a service appointment booked, or maybe an appointment even to see a vehicle or something like that, where it can be frustrating. I know I get frustrated when I call American Express or Delta Airlines or what have you, and I'm like, representative, agent,
Right.
Representative, and they're like, yep, we'll get to that in a minute, but I need
Yeah, but
this,
please
this,
tell
and
me
this.
specifically what you want to do. And
Exactly.
It is frustrating, right? But to that point, on my podcast, the You're in Charge podcast, I had Todd Smith, who's the CEO of Core AI, and he made a really smart statement about this, is that he's a big proponent of, first, before you even get AI, clean your data.
Okay.
Because if your data is not clean, AI is just going to accelerate bad productivity. Meaning, to your point, if I already bought a car and I'm not cleaned up in the data that I bought a car, I'm still going to get sales emails, or I'm going to get emails for cars I don't have, or I'm going to get service advertising that doesn't really apply to me. And that's a waste of time. That's actually hurting your brand message versus starting to try and clear out your data and then really using AI to create audiences so you can do more small tactical marketing to you at the right time, which I think people appreciate, versus these people don't understand. I got rid of that car so long ago. And that in the marketing arena is as frustrating as in the sales arena that you just said, is when I'm calling up and I'm not getting the right response. It's no different than seeing ads that go, these are not relevant to me. And it almost tilts you away from ever wanting to do business with them again, for fear of they're just going to spam my my phone, my texts now, or my email with ads that don't apply.
Sure. So let's kind of drill down on that for just a second. The hygiene of your data. That seems to be one of those areas that few people within a dealership want to champion. And
Yes.
talk to me about that. If you were a dealer today, what would be your course of action to make sure that the data that you're holding is up to date and it is clean? Because I think we talk in generalities about
Right.
that. Who does it? Is it an outside company? Is it an inside person? How often does it need to be done? What does that look like? Some of these high volume dealerships that have got literally tens of thousands of files, that's a huge undertaking, right? And I would
Right.
also put this out there that I would venture to say, in my very limited scope here, but 99% of the dealers out there have got bad data in their files. They just
Sure.
do, just by the sheer numbers, right? Talk to
Yes.
me
Well,
talk to me about
you
that
have,
topic.
yeah, you have the data in automotive. We've siloed the data. You have it in, if just to keep it very simple, you have it in your DMS, you have it in
Hmm.
your CRM, and you may have it somewhere else as well. And the problem is that where the data gets inputted or comes in, it may not communicate to the other. So what's in your DMS may not be in your
Right.
CRM or vice versa. Or we see it constantly in CRMs where you say, oh, this is a duplicate lead. This has another duplicate lead.
Hmm.
But what are you doing with the duplicates?
Right.
Are you merging them or are you just leaving them? Because if you're leaving them, then maybe I'm getting 2 or 3 messages to 2 or 3 different emails. Now, whether I open those emails or not
Hmm.
it's just a waste of marketing spend. So again, in that conversation with Todd, he would say that if you had 30,000 records, maybe you really only have 16
Yeah.
or 17 really good ones. So to answer your question, again, I'm not a data cleansing expert, but I would be going out to someone outside of the dealership. And that's what a lot of CDPs that are out there, they're housing it, but you have to be very specific with the CDP company and ask
Hmm.
those questions. Are you cleaning my data? Now, what cleaning my data is, are you updating it with the most recent, my emails, my phone numbers,
Sure.
my vehicles? Do I have 3 different versions of me in your systems and we're going to merge it down to one?
Hmm.
And then that's where AI and some of the other uh, lead providers out there, or people who clear your data like Experian and some of the other ones, they'll create this record and update. And it's not just updating your record with this email, but it's what's the one you're using most now
Hmm.
so that it becomes a clean record. And that, I think, they'll tell you maybe it's every 6 months. You should do this. There's definitely change of address. There's systems out there, NCOA, I think it's called new change of address,
Hmm.
where if I move in or I move out or I have something, it'll update and cleanse that record. But I think it is an investment
Hmm.
because if not, you're just going to be having dirty data. And one of the things I've been running across lately in some of my consulting is the email deliverability out of your CRM is being impacted because
Hmm.
if you're constantly just using your CRM and not strategically marketing, and you're just sending out all of these
Hmm.
emails to people in your whole database, if they're not opening them or they're not engaging, Gmail, Outlook, all of these email tools that we use have scores.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I can have the dealership send it to me, to my personal email and my work email,
Hmm.
and the majority of them are going to spam.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here thinking, well, I look at all what I'm doing, and it's not connecting because going back to what Todd had said, that dirty data, accelerating dirty data is really hurting what you're trying to accomplish in those first really critical 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, there's no question, and that is a big issue right there. I mean, so many dealers and have maybe even neglected this area. Maybe not by design. It's just as I said earlier, nobody has
Mhm.
been the champion of it at the store level. And
Right.
if you're not keeping your marketing, or I should say, one of your vendors that's supposed to be doing this, if nobody's watching that, sometimes the
Right.
vendor can go sideways a little bit, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's hard because a lot of these tools are not designed. Like your DMS is not supposed to be cleansing your data, updating your data.
Right.
Your CRM is a hub for data that's coming in through lead forms and what people are logging in. Remember, The CRM, which is the entry point for a lot of data into a dealership, it's designed by humans typing in your name, your email, and all it takes is one mistake, one typo,
Yep.
and all of a sudden things aren't getting sent to you, or someone's giving me an email that they don't really open, and then that impacts everything. So I think this idea of deliverability is really key, cleansing your data is really key, and then more importantly, stopping this bombardment. I saw a dealer's marketing report and it was email blast, email blast. Anything that has blast, please stop, because that means I'm sending it to everybody in my database, whether they need this or not. The
Right.
days of the big, here's all my service specials, I'm
Yeah.
sending it to
Yeah.
everybody. That has to stop, because all of that long-term follow up or chasing them is impacting the deliverability of your frontline stuff in a negative way.
That's right. Yeah, that's great advice for sure. How often should your data, or should you be looking to cleanse your data? Is that a daily process that your providers should be doing? Is it once a month? Is it quarterly? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know. As I said, I'm not a master of that. If it was me, I'd be wanting something that's updating at least every 6 months. But more importantly, it's in that day to day of, if the CRM's telling me this is a duplicate, what is somebody internally doing with the duplicates? Maybe on a weekly basis.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't have to be every day, but someone has to go in and realize when a third of your leads coming in through internet are duplicates or what someone's considering bad. Well, wait a minute. Why?
Yeah.
I need to understand that. Is it emerging problem? Is it just bad data? What is being considered bad data? Because technically my marketer is saying, look at all the leads I'm getting you, and yeah, but they're bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's more on a daily, weekly basis to understand what's going on. And then maybe globally your database could be 6 months, might be yearly, or something along those lines.
Sure.
But I think really that first big initial investment to get as much as you can clean today, because it's going to take a few months. This is not something that you're going to go to a company and say, oh, it'll be done by 5 o'clock.
Right.
It's probably going to take a couple, maybe 2 months to get everything clean. But that understanding that now that data has shrunk down to a cleaner subset, then you can use the CDPs or marketing automation to say, now that I know that I have 16,000, what's in this 16,000? Now I can create all these small audiences. And there are automation tools now where people fall into an audience, fall out of an audience, and that ongoing marketing, but it's way more connected than blasting everybody.
Sure. Looking ahead, how do you see AI reshaping the way dealerships market to and communicate with customers over the next year?
Well, I think what we're seeing is this idea of these audiences. And so it's a much more personalized, customized. We've been talking about personalization forever.
Right.
And now I think we're getting there where people are going to see advertising that's relevant to them. They're going to, some website platforms are designing it in a way that when I come back, it's what I was looking at. And I think that's going to be what has to happen, because as I said, you're going to see audiences built with only 100 instead of thousands. And the idea of, well, I have to build it up to a certain level. I need 10,000 names to use Meta or Google, where you could strategically now use some of these to send these 20 an advertisement, these 20, and it could be through text and it could be through email. But I think if it's relevant, I'll open it, I'll engage with it, which keeps your scores higher. I think where you're going to have some automation and some of the tools out there for your sales process is long-term follow-up. I'm getting to the point, I've written books, right, on this, where it was a 120-day follow-up for the agents. And I'm pushing like anything over 21 days, even 15 days for a human to be doing that. I'm leaning towards, let's automate beyond that, but really focus on these first 15, 20 days and have that engagement, and then use our automation. And where I think you're really going to see the automation and AI helping dealers in the coming years, as I briefly mentioned earlier, is payroll. What if somebody used to take 2 days to do payroll, but now it takes them a half a day?
Yeah.
Right? What if ordering my parts now, I know preemptively what I have to order, or same thing with inventory. If I can go into that 16,000 and now know who's coming into market, do I have the inventory for them? Well, now I know over the next 2 months, people who are going to buy this vehicle are coming into market. Let me go get some of those vehicles. I think that's where we haven't even touched the use of AI, because we want to focus on the two big buckets, our marketing and our sales process, in order to save some money. I think there's so much that they're going to be able to do with AI in the future.
Yeah, I agree. Glenn Pasch, the CEO of PCG Digital and an automotive marketing expert. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We very much appreciate it. I know, as I said in the opening, a lot of people rely on you for your expertise in this area, and there's a lot of dealers that are trying to navigate this very issue of AI and how it's best to be used moving forward. So thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.